Welcome into Inside Southeastern Sports, now joined by head football coach Tyler Fenwick. Last week, of course, come through with the win. One thing that's really stood out, and obviously off to a great 3-0 start, but through 2 games now, the last 2, offensive line play has just been off the charts. Haven't allowed a sack in the last 2 games. Let's talk a little bit about that, because while the offense is blowing and going right now, looking really solid, it all starts up front.
Yeah, it all starts up front, and I think that the time off that we had, where we were able to bring in some guys, develop some guys, develop guys that we already had, and then really put them into the Todd Throckmorton camp of offensive line play. I mean, that guy is a wizard of offensive line. He's incredible. And I've seen it before because we had worked together a while back at Missouri Western, and just the transformation of offensive linemen and the physicality and the technique and the knowledge of the game. You know, those guys go into meetings and they know, you know, why we're doing stuff and why we're blocking things a certain way and why we're using this certain technique. And he's just, he's an incredible football coach, and he's very bright. Understands, he's been on both sides of it. He's been on the defensive side, so he understands, you know, why the defense is trying to do certain things and can explain that and coach. So, you know, those guys are playing at a very high level, and I think that, you know, we've got guys that are nasty, that are physical and want to block hard.
Going back and, you know, thinking about that offense in 2019, the differences this year, you're able to run the ball. The other thing is Hatley, and, you know, this is always a concern, that year took a lot of hits, took a lot of runs. He's been able to kind of reset himself and looks very comfortable in the pocket.
Yeah, I think there's, you know, a lot of that is, you know, looking comfortable and feeling comfortable because he trusts what's going on up front. I think that's part of it. You're not sitting there, you know, worrying about, you know, is this side going to get blocked? Is my backside going to get blocked? Is there going to be a guy coming free? So there's more trust in that process. But I also think that he just is so much more comfortable knowing where to go with the ball before the play even happens. And even if, you know, maybe his first read's not there, he knows where to go next. Rather than snap the ball, it's not there, what do I do now? He kind of knows what the progression looks like and where his people are going to be, and the receivers are doing a great job. And that's what, you know, we talked after on Sunday about. You know, okay, we gave up no sacks, and that's one of our goals. But that just doesn't, you know, that just doesn't start and end with the offensive line. The running back has to pick up the blitz. The quarterback has to know where to go with the ball and get it out. And the receivers have to get open based on what the coverage is, if it's man, if it's zone, you know, and everything, you know, all works together to make sure that we don't have any sacks.
Well, and with that, you know, a guy that had a lot of fanfare coming into the season, Cottrell Blakely, had kind of a slow start. Man, what an explosive game he had this past Saturday, and it just kind of highlights how many weapons you guys have across the board of the skill positions.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of any given week you're going to see, you know, Braxton's going to have a big game, Cottrell's going to have a big game, you know, Deuce is going to have a big game coming up, you know, at some point this year. So with having the talent, they can't take away, you know, one guy because we've got other guys, you know, get Skylo in the mix, and it's just and then Peanut, you know, Peanut's such a big weapon and makes unbelievable catches, and so there's a comfortability that you know that Hatley has out there that he can trust those guys to get open, and he's out there. I mean, he's checking things and he's telling, you know, he checked something to Deuce at one point and changed the route and said, hey, go do this, and it's like, okay, go for it.
When you look at this team and where you guys are right now, I thought that game last week had all the makings of a trap game, especially coming off of a big win. You said last week, hey, we're going to stay. We've got a chip on our shoulder. How do you continue that messaging as you go through, again, this week playing a team in Southern Naz, playing at their field, but they're obviously off to a tough 0-3 start?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, you know, we talked a lot about that is you know, we have to play. It doesn't matter who we play. It doesn't matter if we're playing a ranked team, a not ranked team, a team that hasn't won, a team that's won a bunch of games. We have to look at each week as a new start. Each team is going to bring something different. and it doesn't matter what color jersey they wear, how big they are, how small they are, how fast they are, how slow they are. It's really about us preparing and not looking ahead and not looking back and just focusing on what's right now. And I think our kids are starting to understand that. And I've been a part of teams where you have to go through the letdown and I wish we should have beat this team or whatever, and then it's too late. And so we're trying to stay ahead of it and just make sure that our guys are grounded and humble and just keep working at getting better each day. As my partner Rob Johnson said the other day, the goal each week, let's go 1-0 this week. That's right. Yeah, I mean that's really, I mean it's when you play a conference where every game is a conference game and every game matters from a conference championship standpoint, you have to look at it that way, and you can't slip up. And this conference, I mean, anybody can beat anybody. And the fact that 2 years ago, I mean, we went up to SNU and we lost a 14-point lead and let it get away from us. And hopefully we're seeing that we're more mature and can handle those situations now. Again, talking with Coach Tyler Fenwick. Coach, as always, appreciate the time, and good luck this week as always. Thank you. Of course, coming up, we've got our player profile on the way on Inside Southeastern Sports. Welcome back to Inside Southeastern Sports. It's time now for our player profile, and this week the profile shining on Deundre Wheeler. You have really sprung onto the scene, leading the team in rushing touchdowns last week. We had Pablo Perini on, an interesting backstory for him. You too have an interesting backstory. You disappeared from football for a few years, yes, initially signed JUCO. Tell us about your path to Southeastern and how you ended up here.
Really, out of high school, I signed to Cisco College, got up there, worked out with the team for a little bit. It just wasn't for me. Went back home and I went to welding school actually, finished welding school up, and that's when I was finishing welding school, that's when the coaches changes happened with Coach Fenwick, Coach Atterbury, and Braxton. The whole time, Braxton Kincaid, he was a good friend of mine growing up. He just kept encouraging me like, hey, you need to get back in football, you need to play, and then coach changes happened and he sent Coach my film, and it's just history from there.
Of course, you played at Winona along with Braxton. You guys had a solid high school career. Mm-hmm. What's it like being labeled a freshman, but the reality of it is you're the same age as Braxton?
It's kind of crazy because a lot of freshmen come in, they be like, how many years you got left? Like 4. They like, what? Like, yeah, I got 4. Like, I'm a freshman on the field.
And a welding certificate.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, aside from football, I mean, first, I guess sticking with football, what drove you to have the motor a couple of years removed from getting hit and having the pads on? What motivated you to get back on the field?
Braxton really encouraged me. Out of high school, like me and Braxton, we had so many long talks, just staying up late, getting up early, going to go work out, just doing the extra stuff. And when I seen him come up here, just how the success he was having, I just wanted to be a part of that. And he just drove me. He kept pushing me. He never gave up on me.
Even though you're a freshman, obviously you're a little bit older as a freshman. Do you feel that gives you a little bit higher level of maturity?
Yes, I would say right out of high school I wasn't very mature, but like now I feel like I just understand a lot of things about life itself. I went through a lot of stuff when I was going through the welding school and stuff, so now I think that really give me the upper hand.
When you look at career-wise, obviously a freshman, so you can change some things, and you already have a welding certificate. Do you plan on trying to mesh your college education with what you already obtained in welding, or are you looking at a different path, perhaps?
Definitely a different path. I think when I gave up on football right out of high school, I was just really all over the place, and so I just went with welding because I heard somebody say like, yeah, they make real good money. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go do that. But welding's not where my heart is. It's football, and I just want to be a part of football for the rest of my life.
Aside from the football field, I mean, what do you like to do in your spare time?
Play the game with Braxton. We just play the game all day and do our schoolwork. That's it.
So right now, what is your current major?
Health and human performance.
So you see coaching down the road for you?
Yes, sir.
Aside from that, I mean, obviously I know Braxton comes from a athletic-minded family. His dad, a coach, uncle, coach, all that. Is that where you see your path going?
Yes, sir. Just growing up with them, being around them in high school, I just saw the way they operated, their family operated, just just a sports family. I just love that, and they took me right in with them. They didn't leave me behind. They just catching me up on a lot of stuff that I did not know. They taught me a lot of stuff, so I just fit right in with them, and I just want to pursue that.
Again, talking with Deundre Wheeler, our player spotlight. Okay, so you get your hot seat segment. 5 phrases, no wrong answers. You just spontaneously react. Favorite childhood breakfast food?
Croissants.
Favorite type of vehicle?
A Honda.
Favorite female musician?
Beyonce.
Oh, you just jumped all over that one.
Yeah, Beyonce.
Favorite color?
Blue.
What does it mean to be a member of the Savage Storm?
It means everything to me. Right out of high school, I was supposed to get recruited here, but it just didn't happen that way. But I mean, going to Cisco, I did not want to be there. I wanted to be in the gold and blue. And I'm here now, so I'm happy to be a part of the Savage Storm family.
One other question. What did it feel like scoring a touchdown your first game?
Oh, man. It was crazy. I really didn't have a feeling. I was really like numb. I was surprised. I was like, man, I just scored a college touchdown. So that was really a big dream of mine, and I accomplished it. So.
Again, talking with Deundre Wheeler. Of course, coming up, we'll have more of Inside Southeastern Sports.